I have two brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may.
Hi, welcome to Left Foot Media. My name is Brendan Malone and you're watching The Daily Question. Today's question of the day is Daredevil 3 the best season so far? Now, the reason I'm asking that question is because last week I finished watching the brand new Season 3 of Netflix's Daredevil. Now, before I go any further, let me point out there are going to be some spoilers in this video. So if you don't want any of the season spoiled, you haven't finished it yet or you haven't started it yet, and you don't want any spoilers, go away, watch Season 3 and then come back and watch this video. Let me start by saying the things I like and then I'll get onto the things that I didn't like about this season. First of all, the things I liked the writing. I think the writing was much better in this season than what it was in Season 2. In fact, I think it was possibly even slightly better than what Season 1 was. I think this, writing-wise, there were a lot of strengths. It's not perfect, but I really liked a lot of the characterizations and the story points and the way the story unfolds in this particular season. It's not perfect, and I'll get onto some of those imperfections when I get to the dislikes, but it's pretty good writing and definitely a big improvement, I think, from Season 2. I really loved the character of Dex, who is obviously Bullseye. I thought he was a great character. There's a lot of interesting things going on there. And I also really liked this particular version of Wilson Fisk. I think there's a lot more menace in this season around Fisk. He seems like more of a supervillain. It's the sort of, I guess it's the Wilson Fisk that we've all finally been waiting for, the major supervillain who actually feels like a serious threat. And in this season, you really feel the menace, you really feel the threat, that sort of unstoppable juggernaut that this kind of supervillain really should be. I think they really got that right. I also really liked the exploration of themes around virtue, the question of hope, and also issues pertaining to faith and belief that are explored in this series. There's some really interesting little, I guess you'd say, subplots or little moments that happen in the series, and the dialogue is deep. It's not your typical trite, sort of lowbrow TV series type cliched stuff. They really do try and aim for something a bit more highbrow here. They actually go for something that's, I think, is more realistic in that sense of struggle and grapple that people have in their daily lives with these kind of issues. Another thing I really like about this season is Foggy. I think this is the best portrayal of Foggy yet. In the previous two series, I've liked him, but not as much as this. He feels less corny in this series. There's more of the seriousness that I was hoping to see from that character at some point. I think they've actually got this right. But at the same time, there is enough of that Foggy sort of levity there that he actually still feels like a comic book character. They've sort of maintained that impish, childish sort of sweetness about him, but it isn't syrupy. Like in the previous two Daredevil Series 1 and 2, it just felt a little bit too cornied in places, a little bit too cheesy. And of course, this series has some great cinematography. That side of the Daredevil television series has not dropped away at all. There's really good cinematography. There's some really creative cinematography in this. And I don't know if it is as good as Season 1 was, but definitely it's still creative. It's still right up there when it comes to cinematography in a television series. Now the stuff that I dislike. Although the writing is good, it does feel in places like it's just a little bit too slow. There's a slow burn and then there's a slow burn, and at times it feels like a slow burn, and at times it feels a little bit like you have these moments where they have an action set piece and then everything slows down around it. And then they have an action set piece, a little bit of perhaps that Walking Dead type syndrome where you have a big climactic moment and then you sort of go quiet for too long around that big climactic moment. And it just, for me, it undermined things a little bit. It was just too slow in places. I would encourage you to hang in there. If you're finding the first couple of episodes a little bit slow, there is a payoff, though. There is build-up for that's happening there that you may not realise is happening. But I still think, despite that, they could have actually tightened things up a little bit in the writing of this particular series. But like I said, I really do think it is the best of the three series as far as writing goes and characterization and storytelling and other things, but there are still some weaknesses in there, and that's one of them. The other thing that I thought was a weakness was I felt that the final episode, what really should have been the final climax, was actually kind of anticlimactic. It just didn't quite come together with the crescendo that it was building up to. Everything in this series is building, and it's really about episode 9 onwards, we really start ramping up the stakes and the emotional tension, the story tension, everything is ramping up, and you are facing what should be a big climactic crescendo. But it sort of peters out. It sort of almost peters out in episode 2 early, and then the final episode, it just doesn't feel like I like the character of Dex, Bullseye. But in this one, all of a sudden, he goes from being a very super powerful and serious menace and threat as a villain to all of a sudden being quite easily dispatchable in that final episode. It just, to me, it was very, very anticlimactic. And that's not the only thing, but it lacked what I thought should have been a much bigger and more serious crescendo. The other thing about the season was, for me, there was a distinct lack of Daredevil. Now, I know that might sound strange, but what I mean by that is that Daredevil never actually wears the Daredevil costume. And so you don't get Daredevil, the sort of the iconography of Daredevil. And I felt that was a bit of a mistake. For me, okay, season 1, I thought we'd moved past that. Season 1 was the building of Daredevil and the character and the suit and building the icon, if you like, that is Daredevil. I didn't expect to go back in season 3 and to actually lose that icon. Now, I know why they did it, but to me, and it might just be a little thing that others might not be that worried about, but it just felt like it undermined things a little bit, and I think it would have been better. There would have been more strength in this. They still could have done the whole subplot with the fake Daredevil. They still could have done that, but I think it would have been good to actually have the full iconography of that character, to have Daredevil in his full glory. I think really would have amplified that season and been a nice touch that would have improved things in a big way. A couple of things that I found really frustrating now. One was Daredevil's mother, the reveal of Daredevil's mother, who is, of course, Sister Maggie. Now, I found that whole reveal to be it was too contrived for me. This isn't a series where they are taking their time and they're building the story and points around different characters really well. There's a good build-up. And then all of a sudden, we get what would you call it, an M. Night Shyamalan twist moment, or what's supposed to be a twist moment for those who perhaps weren't expecting it. But it just feels very contrived, and the way they've done it really doesn't make a lot of sense if you know anything about how that type of thing would work. If you ran away from a religious order and then had a baby and then tried to go back, you wouldn't just be able to go back like that. That's not how that works. The comic book handles it in a better way. She runs away, and so you have that sort of plausible deniability of being able to hide your past. And it would have made a lot more sense. And there was more tension in that relationship between her and Daredevil when he's a baby. And it's very serious. You don't get that in this one. And as I said, it's all very contrived. It feels very quickly put together. It's in there because they want this sort of moment of drama, add a bit more tension to things. But I think this was a story point that they really should have developed, possibly even in another season, or they should have taken their time and actually developed this thing much better, given it more attention and more focus, because it actually very quickly all of a sudden becomes a non-issue again. And I just think that was a waste. And to me, it was just too contrived. It didn't fit well. It didn't feel, to me, it felt like a writing weakness in an otherwise a great landscape of writing that season 3 is. The one thing that I find really frustrating, and that I found frustrating for all 3 seasons, is the portrayal of Karen Page. Now, Karen Page is portrayed by the actress Deborah Ann Woll, and I don't know whether it's the acting choices she's making or the directing choices, that, the way she's being told to act when it comes to the display of particular emotions. And it's something that's been there right from season 1, and I found really frustrating right from season 1, and it is still present in this season now. And what makes it so frustrating is it's not there all the time. So you can actually see that here's an actress who is capable of portraying this character in a way where the acting choices around emotion aren't so jarring, particularly in episode 10. Episode 10 is just phenomenal. It is a great piece of writing, and it's all about her character and her backstory, and she really shows her acting chops. The thing I find frustrating, though, is that quite often, and again, season 3, you see more of this throughout all 3 seasons, is that when she's conveying seriousness, she often starts crying or getting that crying quiver in her voice, and she uses that as the tool to try and convey seriousness or upset or trauma and other things. Now, at times it makes sense, but it just happens too much, and it also doesn't feel like a good fit. It actually feels jarring, and at times you're like, it just feels a bit too fake, and it doesn't. I think it would have been far better for her in a lot of those moments to just actually take a somber tone, facial expression, in her voice, and to relay those lines with a somber tone, but without the quivering voice, without the crying. It feels more like an amateur drama class sort of thing. It doesn't feel like it belongs here, and it's here in season 3. Like I said, what makes that, I guess, really frustrating, because some might say, oh, that's just nitpicking, but what makes it really frustrating for me is the fact that, like, you go and watch episode 10 of season 3, she's a really good actress, and she makes really good acting choices there. And other times throughout the season, you don't get that kind of thing happening. So it doesn't need to be this way. So the fact that it keeps happening is kind of annoying. All in all, I think this is a great season. For me, I think this is the most well-written of the 3 seasons. I don't know if it is the best. It's possibly slightly better than season 1, just perhaps because of some of the writing decisions and characterizations. However, the cinematography and some of the things that we saw in season 1, I think really still are spectacular, and the season doesn't actually come close to some of those aspects. So possibly it's a bit of a tie. They cancel each other out in different areas. The one thing I will say though is I would give this season 3 probably a solid 6.5, 7 out of 10, maybe even going into a 7.5. It's a good, watchable series, but you do have to hang in there for the first couple of episodes, and you do have to get through some of those moments that are a little bit slow and that possibly anticlimactic ending. But amidst all of those kind of weaknesses, there is a really strong, well-written and really well-told story, and it's well worth watching. As per usual, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you like the content I'm creating and you'd like to see more of it, then please support me on PayPal or Patreon. There is a link for both in the video description below. That's right, I can hear my theme music too. I'll see you next week on The Daily Question.